Peter Obi has said something bold again. And this time, the message is very clear. He says even if all the 30 governors in Nigeria join the ruling party, they still cannot stop him from contesting for president. Not pressure. Not intimidation. Not political power. Nothing. This statement came shortly after Peter Obi officially joined the African Democratic Congress, known as ADC. The moment was marked during a political gathering in Anambra State where he formally received his membership card of the party. The event immediately attracted national attention, as many observers saw it as a clear signal that Obi is preparing for another major political contest. Because everyone knows what governors mean in Nigerian politics. Governors control structures. They control local leaders. They control resources. They control influence inside their states. In many cases, they also shape the direction of political parties during elections. Their endorsements can influence campaign momentum, and their networks often reach deep into local communities. Many political analysts believe that if governors unite behind one party, it becomes very difficult for any opposition candidate to win. But Peter Obi does not agree with that idea. Instead, he says Nigeria belongs to the people, not to governors. According to him, elections should not be decided by powerful politicians sitting in government houses. Elections should be decided by ordinary Nigerians. Traders in markets. Students in schools. Farmers in villages. Workers in cities. Those are the people he says will decide the future of the country. And this is why his latest statement is creating serious conversations everywhere. Because Peter Obi is not just speaking about running for president. He is also challenging the way politics has worked in Nigeria for many years. For decades, political power in Nigeria has mostly been controlled by a small circle of powerful figures. Governors. Party leaders. Political godfathers. They often decide who gets party tickets, who gets support, and who gets pushed aside long before voters even arrive at polling units. This system has shaped many elections across the country. Political negotiations often take place behind closed doors, and alliances between powerful leaders can influence outcomes before campaigns even begin. But Peter Obi is trying to change that political culture. His message is simple. No group of governors should be able to intimidate anyone out of a democratic election. Speaking during the event in Anambra State where he received his ADC membership card, Obi made it clear that political intimidation should never replace democratic choice. He stressed that the right to contest elections belongs to every qualified citizen, regardless of the political pressure that may exist. And he made it very clear. Even if every governor in Nigeria decides to join the APC tomorrow, it will not stop him from standing before Nigerians in a presidential contest. That confidence is what is now driving a new political conversation across the country. Supporters say it shows courage and determination. They believe Obi's stance reflects the growing demand among many Nigerians for a political system that gives citizens more influence over leadership decisions. Critics, however, say it is a risky approach. They argue that Nigerian politics still depends heavily on strong political alliances and powerful structures. But one thing is certain. Peter Obi is not stepping back. Not now. Not before the next presidential race. His decision to formally join the African Democratic Congress in Anambra State has now placed him back at the center of national political discussion. For many observers, the timing of this move is important. With conversations already beginning about the next presidential election cycle, political parties across the country are quietly reviewing their strategies and alliances. Obi's entry into ADC is therefore being viewed not just as a party switch, but as a signal that a new phase of political activity may be starting. And by officially joining the African Democratic Congress, he has just opened a brand new chapter in Nigeria's political direction. Because now the big question is no longer if he will run. The question is what happens next. Peter Obi's move to the African Democratic Congress did not happen quietly. The moment the news became public, political observers across Nigeria began asking serious questions about the implications. For many analysts, the development was not just another routine party membership announcement. It was seen as a political signal that could reshape early conversations around the next presidential election. Why ADC? Why now? And what exactly is Peter Obi planning ahead of the next presidential race? These questions quickly began circulating among political commentators, party leaders, and citizens who closely follow Nigeria's evolving political landscape. For many Nigerians, Obi is no longer just a former governor. Over the past few years, he has emerged as one of the most talked about political figures in the country. His political profile expanded significantly during the last presidential election, when his campaign attracted large attention from different parts of the country. That election changed the political conversation in several ways. Millions of young Nigerians became more active in political discussions. Many first-time voters registered and participated in the electoral process. Public debates about governance, economic management, and accountability became more visible both online and offline. Universities discussed politics. Markets discussed politics. Civil society groups increased their political engagement. Social media platforms also became a major space where political ideas were debated daily. The level of political interest during that period surprised many established political figures. For decades, Nigerian elections were often driven mainly by established political networks and party structures. But the last election cycle showed that citizen engagement could grow rapidly when people feel strongly about national issues. Despite that strong wave of support, the final result of the presidential election did not favor Obi. Since then, many Nigerians have been watching carefully to see what direction he would take next. Some analysts believed he might maintain a low political profile for some time while reviewing his strategy. Others speculated that he could return to a major political party with stronger national structures. But instead of following those expectations, he has now chosen a different path by joining the African Democratic Congress. This decision has introduced a new dimension into Nigeria's political calculations. The ADC is not traditionally considered one of the dominant political parties in Nigeria. However, Obi's entry into the party has suddenly placed it into national political discussions. Political analysts say the move could potentially strengthen the party's visibility and influence ahead of future elections. In Nigerian politics, party structures often play a major role during campaigns. Large political parties usually rely on networks built through state governments and local party leaders. These networks help mobilize voters, organize campaign activities, and coordinate political messaging across different regions. Governors often play a central role in maintaining these structures. They influence party leadership at the state level. They support campaign logistics. They mobilize political supporters. Because of this influence, the alignment of governors within a political party is often seen as a major advantage during elections. This is why Peter Obi's recent statement about the 30 governors has generated widespread debate. By declaring that even if all governors join one party they cannot intimidate him, Obi is directly challenging the traditional idea that political power must come primarily from established political structures. His argument focuses instead on the power of voters. According to Obi, the true strength of democracy lies with citizens who participate in elections and make their choices at the ballot box. This perspective has received mixed reactions. Supporters argue that Nigeria's democracy can only grow stronger if citizens become more powerful than political structures. Critics argue that elections still require strong party organization, significant funding, and nationwide political alliances. They believe that without these elements, it may be extremely difficult for any candidate to compete effectively against larger political parties. Yet Obi appears confident in the direction he is taking. His public statements continue to emphasize accountability, economic reform, and citizen participation in governance. These themes remain central to the political message that has defined his recent campaigns. At the same time, political parties across the country are beginning to assess how Obi's move could affect future alignments. Some observers believe it may encourage new political partnerships. Others believe it may trigger fresh competition among opposition parties. For now, one fact is clear. Peter Obi's decision to join the African Democratic Congress has reopened political debate about strategy, influence, and the role of citizens in Nigeria's electoral system. And as the country gradually moves closer to another election cycle, every move made by major political figures will continue to attract strong attention. The coming months may therefore reveal whether this new political direction will reshape the balance of power within Nigeria's evolving democratic landscape. Peter Obi's latest comments have continued to generate strong reactions across Nigeria's political space. His statement that even 30 governors cannot intimidate him out of a presidential contest has quickly become one of the most discussed political remarks in recent days. Political analysts, party leaders, and citizens are now examining what the declaration could mean for the future direction of national politics. In Nigeria, the political influence of state governors has traditionally been significant. Governors control powerful political networks within their states. They influence party leadership structures and often play key roles during election campaigns. Their endorsements can shape party strategies, while their political machinery helps coordinate activities across local government areas. Because of this influence, many presidential aspirants often seek strong alliances with governors before major elections. Such alliances can provide access to campaign resources, grassroots mobilization, and broader political support across different regions. This is why Peter Obi's recent statement has drawn serious attention. By openly declaring that governors cannot intimidate him, he is presenting a direct challenge to one of the most established power structures in Nigerian politics. His position suggests that the strength of voters should ultimately outweigh the influence of political office holders. Supporters of Obi say the statement reflects a growing public demand for a political system where citizens play the central role in deciding leadership. They argue that Nigerian democracy can only deepen when voters feel that their choices matter more than political negotiations among powerful elites. Many young voters and civil society observers have continued to emphasize this point in ongoing political discussions. They believe the future of Nigerian elections should be determined primarily by citizens who participate in the voting process rather than by political calculations made behind closed doors. At the same time, critics maintain that Nigeria's political environment remains heavily influenced by organized party structures. They argue that successful presidential campaigns usually require strong alliances across states, significant funding, and coordinated political support from experienced party leaders. Without these elements, they say it can be extremely difficult for any candidate to compete effectively at the national level. These different perspectives are now shaping the broader debate around Obi's political strategy. His recent decision to formally join the African Democratic Congress has already introduced new possibilities within the opposition political space. Analysts say the move could attract fresh attention to the party and potentially encourage new alliances among political actors who are exploring alternatives ahead of the next election cycle. At the same time, Nigeria's ruling political establishment will also be carefully watching how this development evolves. Political competition often intensifies as election seasons approach, and early positioning by major figures can influence future negotiations and alignments. For now, Obi's message remains consistent. He insists that democratic participation must remain open to all qualified candidates regardless of political pressure. He also continues to stress that elections should ultimately reflect the will of the people rather than the influence of powerful political offices. This position has ensured that his latest remarks remain at the center of national political conversations. As Nigeria gradually moves toward another electoral season, statements like these are likely to shape the tone of political debate across the country. And with his entry into the African Democratic Congress now confirmed, observers say the coming political months may reveal whether this strategy can transform into a wider national movement capable of influencing the next presidential contest.